Oh, man. Georgia takes down TCU and has Kirby Smart replace Nick Saban in the world of college football. David Pollack basically said that last night to Nick Saban's face, and I think he's still alive today. We are the Out of Bounds Show, 105.9 The Zone, ESPN. That was an exclamation point from Coach Kirby Smart and his Georgia Bulldogs as they beat TCU 65-7. And we want to welcome in Mike Detillier, who knows all about Saban and Smart. Mike D, I'm confident you probably had Georgia winning. Did you see them dominating at the level that they did last night?
Not like this. I thought they'd win and they'd win comfortable, but not like in this manner. It was just a total demolition job done. And, man, I have coaches in my family, so they all tell you, sometimes you're the buzzsaw, and sometimes you get your hand caught in the buzzsaw. And last night, TCU got their hand caught in it. You play a team, and everything goes right. And you can't get your hand out fast enough. I mean, Georgia hit on everything. And you could see the speed, the athleticism, the physicality, was certainly a notch and a half higher. And TCU they can't match that at this stage. So when you play a team like that, and they were clicking, that you can throw a lot of different things out there, but nothing was going to stop them. That was nobody in college football that could have put that stop sign on them last night. Everything was working. Everything.
Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joins us on the Patron Tequila guest line as we're going to recap Georgia for a second and then go to the NFL. Mike D has been covering the NFL draft for over 35 years. Mike, we love to do this. We like to get ahead of ourselves in sports, and we like to overreact. Now the big discussion is Stetson Bennett IV and the NFL draft. Now, you're talking about a young man who did everything he was supposed to do and all that, and he is a really good college player, but he is surrounded with insane talent on offense and a defense that gives them back the ball about every 90 seconds, a lot of times in plus territory. So, without getting ahead of ourselves and overreacting, where do you think this is headed with Stetson Bennett and the NFL draft?
Before this game, and I don't really move it much. Every once in a while, I'll maybe kind of tag it up or tag it down, depending on certain things. But I thought he'd probably be a fifth-round pick, and so that's where I stand with it. Man, he's smart, he's accurate. He's not a big man in the pocket. From that standpoint, he's got pretty good mobility skills. He can run well with it. But the NFL is a different game, just a totally different game than college football. And so he's going to get a shot and to play at the next level. But what I like about him is he's smart, he's accurate, and he takes over the game from a standpoint of he is the field general. He's got that skill set, and so I would, I would say he's going to probably be a third-day pick. But he, some people are going to overreact to it, and that's a good point. That's a good point. Some people are going to get overly excited with all this. I'll never forget. This was Mike Ditka when he was here with the Saints. And got into a discussion about Danny Werfel, who was a great college quarterback. I mean, just an unbelievable guy. And he was trying to convince everybody. I don't see why you guys didn't have him ranked higher than what he is. I think, he's going to be a top 100 pick in the draft. And I was like, "There's no way he's going to go that high." Well, but Mike picked him, so that's why he said it. And so, the one thing with Mike, you had to understand his method of madness with it. And again, there's some similarities there between Danny and Stetson.
Yeah.
When you think about it, there's some similarities.
I like
there.
where you're going there.
I think Stetson's a little better athlete from a movement standpoint, but they both have similar traits. And again, it didn't translate to the NFL. It didn't translate. Now, can Stetson play in the NFL as a backup? Yeah, I think that could possibly be the case. But I would think you're looking at a late fourth into fifth round selection for Stetson, and you know what you get from him. You really do. And why I say that as a backup, I think he's a bit of a spark plug type guy that you could put him in there, and if you needed something to kind of maybe spark your team, or if your quarterback went down for a short period of time, he could step in and do the job for you. As far as being a full-time starter, I don't see that. I don't see that.
Mike Detillier has been covering the NFL draft for almost 4 decades. He joins us on the Out of Bounds show. I like where you're going there with that Danny Werfel comp.
I think it's similar. They have a lot of the same comps to him. Now, for some people, who's Danny Werfel? But man, Danny was an unbelievable college quarterback. He really was. And in that system that Spurrier had, he ran it as well as anybody could have.
Yeah, no, he did. What?
And he had a thick hide too. And I always would tell him that, because criticism didn't bother him, or somebody telling him something. Because listen, to play for Steve was tough on quarterback.
Yes,
really tough. And if he thought that Steve was bad on him, then he comes here with Ditka, and Ditka was even worse. I mean, Mike never played quarterback in his life, but you'd have swore, he was Joe Montana. I mean, he knew everything about playing quarterback. And Danny had that ability to just absorb it and say, yeah, okay. He didn't take it personal. When you think about Stetson's career, you got to have a pretty thick hide to go through what he went through.
True.
And the best comment, this was last summer. We at Louisiana Line Camp. And they have a number of coaches. They all talking about Georgia as they lead into the 2021 season. And everybody was, well, so-and-so should be the quarterback, and J.T. Daniels should be the quarterback, and this guy should be the quarterback. Well, I'd go with the freshman at quarterback. And Pete Jenkins is there. Pete's coached 52 years in major college football and in the NFL. And so, once Pete gets started in the conversation, because Pete goes and works with Kirby Smart and the Georgia defensive line every year, spring and in the fall. And he was like, guys, listen, y'all just calm down. He said, I'm going to tell y'all something and remember it. All these hotshot names y'all bringing up, it's like y'all guys wanting to date the best-looking gal in school. And y'all forget about who's going to make the best wife. Stetson Bennett's going to be the best wife for Georgia. He said that before Stetson won one national championship. And I always think about that. Pete Sarden knew, that Stetson was the right guy for Georgia. And they threw a lot at Stetson, a lot of these 5-star quarterbacks and all these guys with these big names. And, he made that comment. Y'all all want to date the prettiest girl in school, but who's going to make the best wife? Stetson.
So, Stetson, we're visiting with Mike Detillier, NFL insider on the Out of Bounds show and the Patron Tequila guest line. Mike, he's listed at 5'11", which means he's 5'10". We've had a couple of outliers break through. Drew Brees, who's an absolute freak, and Russell Wilson, who is built like a Mack truck, and he's almost 6 feet. Let's just say Drew's 6 feet. Not many others outside of that can break through the ceiling. They don't have to be 6'4", 230 anymore, like everybody thought in 1983. But when I throw that, he is listed right here as at 5'11", which means he's probably 5'10". What do you make of that in Stetson Bennett?
Yeah, that's part of it too. But you know what? We're gonna have this discussion about Bryce Young too.
But he's a freak. I mean,
he is, but the build is not thick.
True.
He's not real tall.
True.
And where I would agree most of the time, because I think prototypical size is something everybody in the NFL looks at, okay? You want your linemen to be a certain size. You want your corners to be a certain size. It helps at wide receiver to be 6'3", even though, we've seen some of them, that are a little over 6 foot really play big in this league. But with Bryce, that discussion's going to be there because of the fact he isn't prototypical. He's not. But there's always exceptions to the rule. And people are like, well, I don't know. Okay, well, then you take Levis from Kentucky and see how that turns out. Okay, and this is nothing against Will, because I like him. I really do. I got to spend some time with him at Manning and afterwards, and he's a big lumberjack type build. But from an accuracy and a pinpoint thrower, who's better, Bryce Young or Levis? And it's not even a debate. So Bryce is going to be put under that scrutiny too. And for all these yayas that's going to come on and tell you the exact same thing about he's not prototypical. But I think Archie Manning put it best. He's this generation's version of Fran Tarkenton. And I think that's a really good comp.
I love that comp.
We watched him at Manning, and Archie turned to me and he said, "Mike, you don't have to go to Wikipedia. All that white in your hair, you saw him. He's Fran Tarkenton. He's your generational version of Fran." And I think Archie's right. I think he's absolutely right about it. So it's gonna not help Stetson, put it to you that way. That he's not prototypical size, and he doesn't have this super strong arm, but he's smart and he's accurate, and he can make all the NFL throws. It just won't get there as fast. Mm-hmm. So that's part of the reason why I would give him an early third day draft grade.
Fair enough. All right,
but you don't have to convince all 32 teams.
That's exactly right.
You're not running for presidency. You don't have to get all those electoral votes, And again, you're going to have a Mike Ditka out there. You're going to have a coach
who doesn't understand that position.
That I want Stetson, because I think he's a winner and he can help us. And so that I've heard that way too many times for people to say, "Oh, he'll go undrafted." No, he won't. They'll have some team select him, I guarantee you.
Yeah. Let's go to Sean Payton. We're visiting with Mike Detillier, WWL Radio New Orleans. He joins us on the Patron Tequila guest line. All right. Does he make the call on one of the – what do you think he does? Does he go with one of these teams, the Broncos or another team, or does he sit out another year and get an even better maybe opportunity ownership group that he wants to work with, Mike?
I think he wants to come back in 2023. I've heard it from enough different people, and that he's made calls out to assistant coaches to come join his staff. So he wants to come back. I think he's got the itch to do it. What's going to be interesting is where, and I think he's always had a preference for out west. And so that's the only city I would think would east of the Mississippi would be, and I would keep an eye on this, is Miami. Because, man, what happens if Buffalo sort of steamroll the Dolphins in the first round? You got an 84-year-old owner whose estimated worth is $18 billion, who played footsie with Sean last year and got himself in a little bit of trouble for doing so, but he sort of played footsie with him. When you're 84 years old, and listen, you could live to over 100 today. It's possible, and it's a growing deal of people over 100. But when you're 84, you understand your mortality. That, man, listen, I want to win now. Mike McDaniel might be a pretty good coach, but I want to win today, and that might catch Sean's eye. But I've always felt out west, Denver, it's not far from the home he has in Corleone, Idaho, and you got a multi-zillionaire owner who's worth $70 billion. So money's not an object there. He's got a built-in defense, and he's got some pieces on offense, and I think that would certainly catch his eye. He is connected also to the Bidwell family with the Arizona Cardinals. Sean was a ball boy at Eastern Illinois. At that time, the then St. Louis Cardinals would train at Eastern Illinois. So Sean knows the Bidwell clan from back then and still does today. He tried to trade for Patrick Peterson a few years back. He got on a private jet and flew in to talk to Mike Bidwell. He didn't pull the trade off, but that was his connection to the Bidwell family. And again, what happens if the LA Chargers go down in a really bad loss this weekend? And people say, well, Spanos would never fire him. The old man Spanos, the dad, he fired Marty Schottenheimer after a 13-3 season.
Yeah, he did.
So, come on, no one's safe. But I've always felt he wanted to go out west, and L.A. would have been a spot for him. But we'll see what happens. I think we'll have a better look at the Sean Payton sweepstakes after this weekend. And, again, I would not rule out, owners today who are billionaires, to cut loose a coach's salary, and that ain't nothing to them. They want to win now, and I think Sean, they feel, gives them that opportunity. Right now, probably Denver is the team in the league because you got money. He would have control of that franchise. Already the owner and, general partner has already said, hey, they coming to us. You don't go to the general manager. You come to us if you need anything. And the count of money, Sean could be a $20 million a year head coach.
Heck yeah.
And listen, he can talk all this other stuff, okay? And I know him well enough to know this. He can talk all that, but it comes down to, guess what? What every deal comes down to. Dead presidents printed on paper, cash money. And he could literally be a $20 million a year head coach.
Did I lose Mike?
No, I'm here.
Okay. Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. If it came down to the LA Chargers or Miami Dolphins, which one do you think he would take? Chargers?
I think he'd take the Chargers because he has Herbert.
Yeah.
I know he's talked about the quarterback situation being really a part of the decision process, and I'm sure it will be. But, his daughter lives in Santa Barbara, who is trying to get into the media, or she is in the media business, but trying to kind of help there. And so I think he likes it. He lives in L.A. now. He has a place there. So I think L.A. is perfect for him. I think he likes the lifestyle. He likes that particular deal. So location does matter, but I want to see what Spanos is going to pay him. I do know what Mr. Ross would pay him in Miami, and that was the first inkling that Stephen Ross was willing to give him $20 million a year. And listen, South Beach, Florida is pretty nice. It's really nice.
It is.
So, but they don't have the quarterback. And a lot of question marks about Tua and long term with him, too. From a health standpoint, that I think that would be certainly a concern there. But, man, either spot would fit what Sean would look for. And he loves the attention. Listen, let's be honest. He's one of these coaches that enjoys it. He soaks it in and really enjoys the attention of being a head coach. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Nothing at all. I've heard criticism of that. My thing is, if you're in his spot, you don't like it, come on. You enjoy it too.
Right.
Don't tell me you wouldn't. But, everybody got to complain about something today. But either way, Sean's getting paid. Somebody's going to roll out a big check for Peyton.
So it could be this year, but you wouldn't be surprised if he waits one more.
No, I'd be surprised if he waited one more.
Okay.
I think he comes back in 2023.
Got it. Boy, the Chargers would be kind of the slam dunk for him with Justin Herbert there. Wow. Okay.
And listen, Sean's the type of guy, he really believes this. If he went to Denver, that he all that stuff would have happened this year with Russell Wilson, he could cure that. I'm telling you, he's that confident of himself as a head coach that he could cure all that stuff. I think the one thing that's always the intrigue, and it's always in the back, but I don't see it happening. Sean's always wanted full control. That what happens if Tampa upsets the Cowboys? And where does that put Jerry Jones?
Right.
In a spot with Sean Payton still out there. Now, listen, I got a lot of friends of mine that I don't want to be in business with. They're friends of mine, and we might clink a glass together, or we might have barbecue or whatever, but I don't want to work for them or work with them. So that is really would heat up, too, because he's known Jerry for such a long period of time. Mm-hmm. But knowing Jerry, you also know Jerry, if you know what I mean.
Right.
You understand you're not going to be given full control. You're not going to be given full autonomy there. Jerry wants to be Jerry, and he wants to be the guy with the Cowboys. Now, Stephen Ross is different. He's a different personality than his dad. But, Sean's got a lot of options here, and you can bank it. He's going to use it to his advantage.
We'll leave it there, but this will be a discussion for the next week or so with Sean Payton, and then Stetson Bennett will go all the way to the draft. He is Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans, and Mike D joined us on the Patron Tequila guest line. Great stuff, Mike. Thanks, buddy.
Thanks a lot, Bo. Appreciate it.
He's the best at Mike Detillier on Twitter. The show is brought to you by SoundcomAV.com. Sound and Communications. For top audio, visual, SoundcomAV.com. Whether it's your business, your church, or your sports facility, the Out of Bounds Show is powered by Sound and Communications and SoundcomAV.com.